Good morning, I'm Kevin Price. Welcome to The Price of Business. Delighted to be with you. Going to talk to you today about you and your business. Got a lot to cover as always, and so I'm going to get straight to it. Got Belin Jenkins here with us, and she is with a great company. Love talking to her. Love talking to her about her firm, helping employers and helping business owners focus on their business rather than on all that stuff that, frankly, makes business more challenging. Belin, before you introduce your guest today, and I love the guest you bring as well, tell us a little bit about your firm, G&A Partners.
Absolutely. G&A Partners helps companies with all their back office administration, including HR, payroll, safety, workers' comp. We're actually the largest customer of Texas Mutual, and we handle benefits for companies, bringing the larger benefits to the little guy.
Very good. And by the way, what's the best website for us to refer to? Is that $1 Million Employee? Is that what that is?
We love $milliondollaremployee.com.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Absolutely.
Go for that one. Either that or GNApartners.com. Whatever.
Let's just keep it simple. $milliondollaremployee.com. Check that out, and it's easy to remember. And tell us about your guests.
I would love to. Dr. Patel has honored us today. He is a doctor over at Neighbors ER, and he's also got quite the vision for not only our community, but for Neighbors ER as well. So if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about what you're doing in the community in Houston, for example.
Great. Thank you so much, Belin and Kevin, for having us on the show.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you on the show. And even before you do that, kind of give us your elevator speech, if you would. If you were to meet someone for the first time, tell us about the practice before we dig into what you're doing in the community.
Sure, absolutely. Neighbors Emergency Centers has now become a regional healthcare provider for emergency services. We do 24-hour emergency rooms throughout Texas. We're in the Houston market, Beaumont, Austin, and we're expanding into El Paso, Midland, Odessa, as well as San Antonio. It's just like the ER from the hospital, except you take out the ER and put it in a freestanding building, put better doctors, better nurses, and better care, and there you have it.
Very good. And go ahead and address Belin's question about what kind of things you're doing in the community.
Absolutely. So to be a neighbor is kind of embedded in our name. So our goal as an organization is to really get involved in the community. All of our physicians are local community physicians. They live in the area that they practice. We get deeply involved in the schools, civic organizations, local charities. For example, I live in Pearland, and as CEO of the company, I still practice medicine a couple days a month. So one of the organizations there is called the Red Hat Society, and they do what's called adult literacy, and they have a Red Hat luncheon. And we went as celebrity waiters and donated to the cause to really help adults that are illiterate and get them back up to education standards.
Very good. Belin?
Wonderful. One thing that I noticed when I went into Neighbors ER is that the people inside there really are friendly, like a neighbor. And I'll tell you, one of the most beautiful ERs I've ever seen as well. Definitely not that same feeling that you get in when you go into a normal emergency room. There's a calm, and there's actually a beauty involved there. Were you a part of designing that feeling and ambiance?
Yeah, Belin, that was sort of a group effort. We have a great designer. Her name is Stephanie Foy, and the colors all have a purpose. The blues and the greens, they're all healing colors as opposed to some of the other colors that can be kind of scary for a child or even an adult who's in a lot of pain. So we make every effort we can to make sure our patients are as comfortable as they can be.
Yeah, and believe me, I get just as scared as any child when I'm in a a doctor's office. Holy crap, what's that? So yeah, absolutely. I need all the help I can get. So I notice you're all over, or literally all over, not only Houston, but all over the state. Talk about some of the other practices. How many locations you have? Give us a sense of your footprint, if you will.
Absolutely. So we currently have 6 active open facilities, another 4 under construction. And we have funding from our capital sources for another 10 centers for 2015. And after that, we are going to undertake an aggressive growth pattern, hopefully throughout the southwestern United States.
Yeah, let me guess. Coming soon, Sugar Land and Katy.
We are in talks about Sugar Land and Katy are great markets. We're actually in talks with an acquisition on an existing firm. And so, our goal is good doctors and good care. Wherever those things are that's where we will go.
Yeah, that's just based on looking at your map. That would seem like the next logical place. NEC24.com. N as in neighbors, E emergency, C center, NEC24.com. Go ahead there, Belin. Next question.
Okay, well, I just want to piggyback on that for a minute and say I really hope you come to Katy, because my family's in Katy, and I actually had an incident where I broke my arm in February, and I had that feeling like, oh my gosh, should I go and sit through the long line at the emergency room, or should I go to a private ER facility? And so come on down to Katy. I'm inviting you.
We're on our way, Belin. Next board meeting, I'll bring it up.
There you go. And by the way, you have currently 7 locations.
6 active and, like I said, 4 under construction.
Oh, yeah, coming soon at Beaumont. Very good, very good. And when was the first one created?
Our first location was actually not too far from your studio here in Bel Air. It was in 2009. That was our baby, and then from there it's taken off. We've taken care of thousands of patients in Houston and now throughout the state.
Very good. That's NEC24.com. Belin?
Okay, well, if I were a prospective client of yours, I guess I might think about my role as a mom and say that I would want to go ahead and take a look at the emergency ER facilities in my area to see what's available to me before a possible tragedy were to hit. What would you say someone should look for in an ER facility?
Well, other than the classic things such as cleanliness and service, I think there's no real objective ways for the general public to measure good care. I mean, how do you know, just because you have a pretty building, how do you know that the care is really good? And one of the things to always ask is your physician board certified in emergency medicine? And not just board certified, but in emergency medicine. That carries a lot of weight. That physician has had extensive training, specialized training, and that is probably the biggest thing to look for. And other than that, I always remind patients, you're a customer. So, you need to expect good service. Just because the doctor comes in and says something, you don't just take it for face value. You need to really play the part as a customer. And if you don't get good service, go somewhere else. I promise you, once you come to Neighbors, you won't go anywhere else.
Great segment. Appreciate both of you. Dr. Patel, you can learn more about him at NEC24.com. And, of course, Belin, that milliondollaremployee.com. And she always enjoy your guests. Thanks for coming. Good to see you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Patel.
When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdailyreview.com. And I'm your host, Kevin Price, The Price of Business.